Hello Travis. So today we're just gonna show you how to disconnect the top sensor bar from the entire touch frame, and then how you go about disassembling the top sensor bar and then reassembling the top sensor bar. So let's start off with the tools that you're gonna need, right? So you're gonna need this torque screwdriver. I believe it's a T6. And then the next one that you're gonna need is a hex 0.9. This is to remove the set screws, and then just a Phillips screwdriver, right? So I'm gonna start off with disconnecting the power first. We're turning the power off to the touch screen, and then I'm just going to remove this connector first. So here we go. We've got the press down and pull out. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to remove the Phillips screws from the top left corner first. So here are these two Phillips screws. They're right here. And those two Phillips screws with the Phillips screwdriver, I'm just going to remove them. Pause. So here are the two screws that are removed. Now we're going to remove the two Phillips screws from the top right corner. The top right corner has a USB/power supply connector. So here the two screws are removed. Now on the top right corner, I'm going to remove the blue cable, and the way to remove this blue cable is you lift it up, you pull on this side here slowly, and once it's disconnected, you drag it out a little bit, okay, and then you bend it. Now sometimes it's possible it's getting stuck, right? So what you got to do is on the other side, the other corner, you have to kind of remove the other corner first, and then you'll have more leverage, right? You'll be able to move easier. And then you go ahead, bend this down with these two fingers underneath the corner, and you can use the thumb to bend it down. This creates additional clearance for you. And then, okay, and then you can remove the blue cable. It's important to notice that on this you have like a connector there that kind of prevents you from removing the blue cable. So you need some flexibility, okay? And that's the way you kind of remove the blue cable there. So the next one, on the top left corner, we're going to remove the torque screws. There are two torque screws here. So the two torque screws are removed here, and now I'm just going to pull out this top left corner. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So you just kind of pull out the top left corner. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just remove this set screw, which is located right here. Okay. So with this one, you just want to keep this screwdriver straight, right, when you're removing it. You might notice that there's a thread locker on it. You want to go kind of slow. Okay, and here is that set screw. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the two torque screws that we have over here. So here are the two torque screws that I've removed from the top right corner, which has a USB/power supply connector in it. The next thing that we're gonna go ahead and do is remove this set screw that exists here. Okay. Now, as you can see, I've removed the torque screws and the set screw here. Here I have to caution that you cannot just pull this corner out like this, okay? The top right corner, the way that you pull it out is a little bit different, than the top left corner. So this corner only goes out at 45-degree angle. So what we need to do is this carrier and the plastic, what we need to do is separate them, move it out a little bit in this direction, the extrusion in this direction, and then remove this corner at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you how we're gonna separate the metal extrusion from the carrier. So what you do is you lift it up, you know, and then you can put your thumb here and you kind of push out. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to move the metal carrier to this side. Okay, there, you see now I've got a better. It's really slow, it takes time, and sometimes it's really hard to remove the plastic carrier from the metal extrusion. But you know, you kind of just rub you rub the plastic on the other way and this way, you know, you're kind of just rubbing on the metal extrusion. Now once you're done here, you know, it's a little bit out, we're gonna go to the other side. And here you can see that the corner with its metal tab here. So now I'm going to remove this corner at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Okay. This corner comes off at a 45-degree angle. Okay, you cannot pull it out like this. If you do that, you'll destroy the connector. So it has to come out, and you know, when you put it back in, it has to go back in at a 45-degree angle. Once you slide the extrusion a bit on that side, you get access to this tab, and then you know, you remove this corner at a 45-degree angle. So for this next step is the hard step, where you're literally separating the metal extrusion from the plastic. So there's different techniques to doing it. One person can actually go ahead and hold this side of the plastic, just the plastic, and the other person can slide the metal extrusion. So I'm just going to hold on to the plastic on this side, and the other person, it's better as long as you know you're flat on the glass, it's easier. So you see, I'm just going to hold on to the plastic and pull this way, and Adam over there is going to pull on the metal extrusion the other way. Okay, so now I'm going to give him more space here. Go ahead. I'm going to hold on to the plastic, and then Adam, can you pull on? Okay, there we go, and we keep going. Okay, so it's easier if you have two people here. One actually holds just the plastic, and the other one pulls on the metal extrusion the other way. So now we're just gonna show you it, just a separation. Okay, here we go. So here is the metal extrusion, and here is the electronics, the spacers, the cables, you know, in the top sensor part. You can show them and then stop. Okay, so now I'm showing you the last sensor. This is the problem on unit number 1 on that 989 Pro. And the main problem is it's possible that this cable here has gotten disconnected. So when you're trying to reconnect the cables back, do not use any tools. Use your not long nails. Okay, so here what we want to do then is, this is that last satellite sensor. What we want to do is, you know, with my nails, I just push on the connector, and I just want to make sure that it's connected fairly well here. Okay, and then you check up on the next one right here, and I'm going to use my nails here. I'm going to use my nails here just to make sure that, you know, the connection is made there. And, you know, similarly, you go ahead and then, you know, you check out the other connections here with your nails. You just want to make sure that these connections are in. Okay, here's the other one, and then there's a twisted pair cable connection here, which is actually glued, so there's not much to do there, but this one you do want to make sure that this is connected. And then we've got some connection here, right? And then here it's kind of important to these twisted pair cable that exists here. It's kind of important to make sure it's flat, because when you're trying to put the extrusion back in, you don't want the extrusion to nick any of these cables and then, you know, expose the cable. So you want to make sure that this twisted pair cable is straight. Okay, it's straight all the way in, and these connections are complete. Okay, so one thing that I want to mention is on these twisted pair cables, as you can see, there's 3 separate wires here. These wires should be straight all the way from here, all the way, you know, over here, all the way to the master controller. They should all be straight. They shouldn't be jumbled up. They should all be, I know they're twisted pair cables, but you know, there's 3 separate ones, and they should all be straight. Okay. So the next step is I'm just going to put this connector back in at 45 degree. This is the connector that goes on the USB/power supply connector. So I'm going to put it at a 45 degree angle, and I'm just going to kind of using this as a reference. Okay. And the next step is we're going to get ready to put the extrusion on top of the plastic carrier here. So now we're going to talk about how to put the metal extrusion on top of this plastic carrier. So the plastic carrier actually holds the board, and you know, you've got these spacers, metal spacers. What's important to note here is that this plastic carrier has like a bend up over here, right? And this is the bend that catches on to the metal extrusion. Now what I want to show you here is, so you know, this is like this, you've got this dimple up over here,
a rail maybe.
Yeah, and then at the back here you've got a rail where the board sits. Okay, so the board kind of sits in here, and then from the side, as you can see, there's like a V cut here, and that just goes on this side. Okay, so it's kind of important that, you know, your board is sitting between this rail here. You see this rail here, right there. It's really important that the board is on the back side of the board. It's between here. Okay, and then the top side of the board, you know, as you can see, you know, it just kind of falls into place. Now what's going to really help you when we put the extrusion back in is, you know, you're gonna have to squeeze this plastic here. So what will happen is the board may go up. Is when you squeeze this, the board may go up, but this will kind of make it easy for you to slide the extrusion. So when we actually do this, you'll see me squeeze this, and then I'll put the metal extrusion in. So let's talk a little bit about the metal extrusion. The metal extrusion is right here. This is the back side, and this is the front side. And as you can see, you've got this rail here. This is what goes over here. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do this. Okay, so now I'm going to start the process. So you turn this over. This is on the back. This is right there. And then, okay, So as you can see over here, I'm gonna try and put this right there. Okay, first, and then this is the back. The back is just gonna slide over here. So you don't have to snap it. You can actually just, if you see this metal rail, you can just insert it in. Okay, so this is incorrect. Okay, this is correct as long as it's kind of catches the thing. And then this is a very important trick. You have to push like this. Okay, you got to push like this on the black plastic. This pushes the board up a little bit from there, and then you slide this on. Okay, so you see how I'm doing this, like push, and you can see that the spacer kind of comes up a little bit, and then you see sometimes you'll get this, you'll hit this. What you got to do is press and then slide, press and then slide. You got to press. Okay, you got to press, you got to put some force in here. You got to squeeze these two things, and then you slide. Okay, and then what you want to do is, while you're doing this, sometimes you'll get here and then it'll be kind of hard to put it in. Just squeeze it a little bit and then slide. Okay, so here, look, this is getting stuck here. So what am I going to do? It's probably because of the metal spacer there getting stuck. So you're gonna let go, so the spacer will go down, and then push it in. Okay, sometimes you get, see there, it kind of gets a bit harder, and sometimes it gets stuck. So sometimes you push the board down a little bit and then go through. While you're doing this, you don't want to nick any of the wires and with this metal extrusion, but you just want to kind of go ahead. So this technique that I said, where you push and then you do this is really important, and it can sometimes get you out of a jam. So here I'm all okay, but now here, take a look at this. I come in here, and then what happens? That board is hitting this, and I can't slide it out. So what am I going to do? Now I'm going to push that board down a little bit with my finger, and then that's it. Okay, and then I'm going to slide. So it's kind of okay. You just kind of slide. Now here again, you just want to make sure that you're not really, you keep these cables away from this side here, and then you just want to slide. If you're having a hard time with sliding, sometimes you get stuck, back off a little bit, and then go ahead. This is not easy to do. Okay, this is not easy. So when you're sliding this in, you want to make sure that this blue wire, this twisted pair cable, doesn't come too close to this side and gets nicked by this thing, this metal rounded edge here. Okay, so that's why when I'm trying to slide this in, I usually keep this a little bit away. And you see how I'm squeezing this a little bit, and then yeah, slowly, and then you can see how I'm actually applying force on this side here. Now here we go, and then you can see here I got stuck. Okay, see, I got stuck here. Why did I get stuck? I got stuck because I've got this PCB that's lifted up a little bit, and this thing is hitting it. Okay, so how do I fix this? Just push down the PCB a little bit and then go through. Now here, this is also kind of coming up and preventing me from closing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off. Okay. Okay, so do you see that? It's not easy. It is hard, and it takes time and it takes patience. Okay, but I'm trying to show you really how tough this is. Okay, There we go. Sometimes you can just slide it in. Some of these extrusions are like butter, while others give you a really hard time, like this one. Okay, so now I'm right here, and you know, this one is getting tight now. Okay, this extrusion is getting tight, and now we're at the shortest spacer. Sometimes the spacer will fall down, so I gotta make sure that, you know, that it's not falling down here or anything. It's not. It looks like the board is a bit up, so when this gets here, it will stop. You see, it will stop. So what I'm going to do is push down the board a little bit there, and then slide it in. Okay, and then I keep going. This is the hardest part. Okay, keep going, and then you close. Now the next step is just to put these torque screws back in the corner. They're torque screws. So what you can do is, you know, push this and then just tighten up these two torque screws first. What I wanted to tell them is they may need to clean up the what is this? The thread locker. Okay, so let me just show them. Okay, that's 2 set screws, and you can show them the thread locker on them, right? So I don't know if you can see this. These are the 2 set screws, and there's like a blue thread locker that's on the set screw. So the next step is to actually clean the thread locker off. I'm just going to clean that thread locker off the screw, and the way I do it, I just put some alcohol on a piece of cloth, take the screw in with the screwdriver, and then just turn it and just kind of clean the thread locker. The thread locker will kind of make it hard to put the, so as you can see, I'm trying to clean up as much of the screw that I can, the thread locker off the screw. So try to get as much of the thread locker off the screw. Okay, so I'm just trying to clean this guy. So what I would recommend is on this side, whichever set screw has the least amount of thread locker, use that set screw to tie up this end. Okay, so to put that screw in. But before you put the screw in, what you got to do is push the board in a bit, and then pause it. Ready? Okay, so what you do is you push on this board in a little bit, and then you put the set screw in. Okay, so slowly try putting it in. Now the board actually has a cutout on it, okay, where the set screw actually goes. So what you got to do over here is you got to push this in a little bit and then try closing it. So as you can see, the set screw is way too out, so that means that I'm not inside that notch that's on the board. So if you feel some resistance here, okay, as you can see that the set screw is not completely in, don't force it in, back off, okay, just back off, and then, you know, you have to play with this board a little bit. You're gonna have to play with this board a little bit and try to put it in. So this is, yeah, it's not going in right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push it in and try this one. Okay, no, it's not going in, so I'm gonna back off and then let this guy back off a little bit. If you push it in too hard, okay, and it's not going in, then you can literally strip the extrusion, and that's not a good thing. So now, as you can see, I backed off that thing. I'm no longer applying pressure here, and it's kind of slowly going in. So now I know that I'm in that cutout, okay? It should go in easily. Yeah, it shouldn't. You shouldn't have to force this. If you're forcing this in, then you're going to rip the set screw, the threads on that extrusion, and then you'll be in more trouble. So what you want to do is just back off and then let this board readjust and then go in slowly. This will take some kind of this is some kind of practice. You kind of get this in. It's not you're not gonna, but you have to try it to actually get to this. Okay, so you don't always have to push this in and then tighten it, because it's possible that this screw might hit this side. But these boards actually have a notch in there where this screw is supposed to go in, and that's what holds this boat together. Okay, and this is kind of like how much the screw kind of goes in. Okay, so you just have to kind of play with this side a little bit. So I just want to give you an idea. So the next step is to put the corner in. Okay, and then the corner kind of goes in right there. Okay, and then the two screws, torque screws, I'll put those in here. So the two torque screws are in this corner. Next, I'm going to put the set screw on the other side.
Go.
Again, the process is basically the same. Here you just kind of put this in. Because the board is flush with this, there's no extra space there. Putting this set screw in is easy. That's why you do it at the end. The other set screw is much harder to do. Okay. As you can see, this set screw, this set screw goes in all the way. Not all the way, it's like 2 millimeter maybe out, 1 to 2 millimeter out. That's generally 1 to 2 millimeter. Now I'll just show you how to attach the blue cable to the top right corner. So lift this up, put your fingers underneath. You first of all try and slide this in. So you see it's not going in. Okay, so then what do? You move the thing. Okay, and then you try it at an angle here. And then you push this down and push this up. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now I have it in. Now I'm going to readjust with my, I'm going to readjust that piece there slowly. Okay, and then you never use tools to connect these blue cables. It's always fingers, okay, and nails to connect this blue cable. Okay, and there we go. Now let's do the top left corner. As you can see, there's no blue cable here, so usually I leave this step for the last. Next, put the 2 Phillips screws in here and on the other side, and you're pretty much done. Okay.